Alright, it is back for Blood time. This has been a really interesting game to see come live. There was a little bit of drama during its beta. There was also the whole, solo debacle that's happened. But also a lot of people are playing the game and seemingly enjoying it. So today we're just going to work out what's going on with Back for Blood and keep you up to date with the situation. Alright, so how is the game actually faring? Well, it's been out for a decent little while now, and it's actually doing pretty good. Yeah, so the player count on Steam has dropped a fair bit since the launch peak, which is to be expected, but it is reliably putting up real good numbers, right? Like, I mean, yeah, all-time peak of 65.8k, 24-hour peak, though, 50k. You know, a few minutes or 30 minutes before the screenshot taken 42. That is really great. That's just really solid numbers. Now, of course, this is just Steam. This does not account for people who are playing this game on PC via Xbox Game Pass. I imagine many will, because they probably have that thing anyway. Or, of course, the consoles. Now, the Early Access Beta, it had just over 98k players on Steam. So not everybody hung around, but certainly a lot have really transferred into being paying customers for this game. Now, we can compare some of these numbers to, well, the very obvious comparison of Left 4 Dead and Left 4 Dead 2. So, Left 4 Dead had an all-time player peak of 31k. So, Back 4 Blood has comfortably smashed that one. Not that that is really surprising, because Left 4 Dead was a genre, like, not creating, but, it was a really genre, at least awareness creating and expanding entry. So, it was there building the genre. It would not have been sort of sitting there getting the humongous numbers. Now, Left 4 Dead 2's peak was 162k back in 2013. Now, you got to remember there's a story there. That's a sequel to a beloved game that was a friggin' incredible sequel. It was striking while the iron was hot. It was a less competitive market as well. So it's hardly a surprise that it did so well, and they haven't done as well with Back 4 Blood. Now, Valve actually gave Left 4 Dead 2 away for free as a Christmas present the day before the record was set. So that's another thing that obviously could be impacting this. So, look, Back 4 Blood, just because of what Left 4 Dead 2 is, and also the specific technical factors that have inflated its peak player count, it always would have struggled to combat Left 4 Dead 2, but I think they've got a result that they really must be quite happy with when it comes to just the stable player count for this game. Now, then again, Left 4 Dead 2 has regularly been posting player counts in excess of 40k as recently as August this year. You could say that's maybe the benchmark for the captive audience of that genre of game, and Back 4 Blood's doing decent enough. It's just a question of retention.
There's also a little bit from Benji, who talked about this a while ago, Benji Sales on Twitter, pointing out that on day one, it was the 4th most played game on Xbox in the US.
Big.
So that is, that is below Call of Duty, Fortnite, and Apex, but it's above Call of Duty Cold War, because Warzone, and above GTA 5 on Xbox, which, could be a lot of just first-time trials for Game Pass, but even still, that's a lot of interest. And I wonder if that's where a lot of the Steam beta players actually ended up playing it on Game Pass once it was released instead.
Yeah.
So I feel like the Steam numbers really, there's a big chunk on top of that as well, just not one that we can actually see.
Yeah, so really that means that overall, in spite of the solo player drama and in spite of, I remember seeing, it was like some tweets that went a bit viral, and then the clapback to them also went quite viral, of people being like, oh, this car doesn't like explode in a super AAA looking manner. And everyone turned around being like, yeah, it's a video game, we're here to play it, the car maybe doesn't matter.
Yeah, like the Halo watermelon thing.
Yeah, exactly. So there was just an odd amount of negative buzz going on. And plenty of it was quite understandable. But it does seem that in the face of that, the game has done very well. So for the overall gaming landscape when it comes to games like this, the most recent one, obviously, is Aliens Fireteam Elite. Now, for me, I saw numbers come out of an Alien, assumed it was a very looty, numbery game, and basically just noped out of it. So that's why I didn't really pick that up, even though I love the Alien IP. Now, it did release to in and around 10k concurrence in the first few weeks. Now, though, it's at 765, with a more recent number being 309. That's not a great range. Now, a game can truck on with, 1,000 to 2,000 players and have just a great, happy little community. You might have issues, though, if you're trying to get that developer to make future like DLC content for you. So that could be the little issue there. Still, I hope that with this, it's more of a Torchlight situation where Diablo doing really well just makes people want to play action RPGs, so Torchlight 2 is happy enough, and not a Battleborn situation where it's just dead. Now, in the wake of Turtlerock being involved in this whole genre, there have been other games coming out. The World War Z game, I've not played it. It was an Epic Store exclusive in PC, I believe, initially, but it is actually very well regarded. I was surprised how well regarded it was. Now, for a game I've played, Vermintide 2, also Vermintide. I imagine we'll be getting more there as well. And of course, Killing Floor. Killing Floor 2 recently had its drama, so there was that. But I mean, come on, it's Killing Floor. I mean, goddamn, the gunplay. The whole, you just feel like you're shredding a zombie in half with bullets. It just feels very satisfying.
Yeah. I think the thing with Killing Floor is that because it was wave-based and class-based largely, that it kind of didn't have the same, you're going through this area together as a group with a goal in mind kind of feel of Left 4 Dead. Because a lot of things have kind of had the Left 4 Dead, but nothing's done Left 4 Dead like Left 4 Dead. And I think that's like, there's something about that specific formula that people have tried to have different takes on, and they've landed well enough, because I mean, Killing Floor 2's peak was like 69,000. But, you know, mostly speaking, outside of big sales months or something like that, it's been averaging around the 5,000 to 7,000. So obviously, you know, doing a lot better than Fireteam Elite, as an example, but also not really doing a lot. So it's like that niche player base just kind of wants something huge. Because, I mean, Killing Floor 2 is now, you know, what, I think it was released in 2016, I think?
Yeah.
So it's just been a while since that genre's had a game that everyone can rally around. Nevertheless, one that's, you know, free on Game Pass.
And being the return of Turtlerock is certainly something to rally around for people.
Yeah, because, I mean, even right now, Killing Floor 2 is on sale for a $5. And you're like, that's fine, but Game Pass is a tenner.
Yep.
And there you go.
Yeah, Game Pass is... Oh, it is the savior of games like this that can have the sort of social network effect.
Yep, absolutely. The one thing about Game Pass, and I'm really annoyed that we'll never actually, you know, get this answer, but how many people played Back 4 Blood on Game Pass and then went and bought it on Steam? Because that's how you can see the kind of Game Pass as a trial go, especially when you look at a game that has community stuff and friend groups. That, obviously the Xbox ecosystem has that, but for PC players, you're going to have all of that on Steam.
Yeah.
You're going to want your progression on Steam if you've been playing Left 4 Dead or Left 4 Dead 2 with a lot of people. Then, you know, oh, Game Pass, I guess we'll go try Back 4 Blood as friends. Oh shit, this is great. I'll go buy it and then have access to all of my other stuff. So it's kind of interesting that it almost might work as like a free trial kind of thing for players like that.
Yeah, pretty much. Now, the drams have happened. There was the whole solo campaign thing. So this is what was found by people. Solo campaign uses solo decks created in the Fort Hope deck menu. Maps and objectives will be adjusted. Matchmaking and player invites are disabled. Earning supply points is disabled. Stat tracking disabled. Progress towards accomplishments disabled. Basically, this is them saying, yo, we've made our game for online multiplayer and all of that progression with our new card system. You can go through our content in solo to get that content experience, but the real game is over here. And people kind of didn't really know that early. I believe actually it was the people who had forked up more money to get the early access in a more special edition. They were the people who were greeted with that. So certainly, that was not a good look. Yeah,
there's a little bit of context for this that actually might be helpful, and it's that the game is designed around the card system in a way that actually kind of gets what difficulty you have access to. Because I saw people talking about it and going, okay, so, you know, this isn't Left 4 Dead 2. As much as it is Left 4 Dead, it's also not. You need the right cards and you need attachments. You need to know how this works to actually play veteran mode. You can't just go, oh, recruit's too easy, I'm going to go veteran. You actually need the literal cards there, which does add a whole like element of strategy and kind of paces out the game a little bit more, but it feels really sharp for people coming from, you know, oh, I'm really good at Left 4 Dead. I've been playing Left 4 Dead and Left 4 Dead 2 for years because no one's made a game to replace it yet until now.
Yeah.
And they go into hard mode and get absolutely thwacked. They're like, what's this? So I think that's the thing where if you're locked into doing easy and multiplayer, it can just feel a bit grim.
Yeah, it was interesting. Typically, like I watched, it was just what Skill Up was saying, the difference in veteran between the beta that he played and then how it is on live. Yeah. Now, the other side of this, of course, is Xbox Game Pass, which is you know, pretty transformational. So, like, there was a lot of positive. There was also a bit of mixed with Back 4 Blood with its critical launch. But I think the enduring popularity, and it's why I'm glad we're actually talking about this a little bit later on in the cycle, is we've been able to see those Steam charts play out and seemingly be quite good. And we've been able to hear just a little bit more about how this is, I would say, the perfect Game Pass game. Absolutely. So for us in the office, like we played a fair bit in the office, weren't super gripped. I didn't play it, but I mean, a bunch of our guys did. So they weren't super gripped. Issues with challenge, and then for the deck system, I think for what our guys' thoughts were is that not really used to that sort of progression thing being in a game like this. Now, from people who get really deep into this game, apparently the deck system is actually quite good.
Yeah, that's what I've heard, and I think that might be a part of what was interesting about the difficulty that Skilla pointed out in the difference between the beta and the actual full release, where the beta might have been, you know, tuned down to allow for people to not have to grind out a bunch of cards or farm cards or have full access to it, and more, hey, this is kind of the more raw experience versus the full release, which is, hey, no, this is the card system is part of our vision for the game. If you don't like it, get used to it. Sorry, but it is part of what we think the game is progression wise, and I think people have largely been happy enough with it once they've actually gotten to play with it for a while at least.
Yeah, and then as Benji pointed out, we pointed earlier, it's done fantastically on Game Pass, which you know, could have that, even a bit of that genre expanding effect, which Game Pass can do. So it's that thing, I think, where there's a lot of these games that are maybe, you know, not the most remarkable thing on their own, but they're a really solid genre entry, like this, or I don't think Outriders will maybe have as much of the lasting appeal, but they hit Game Pass, and they just do absolutely incredibly in terms of their player base numbers. So it's very interesting stuff. I think it also means that Turtlerock will have some nice security that will be really good as they kind of try to reestablish this genre they've created. Because really, I mean, there's Warhammer Vermintide. There's you know, there's that, which I suppose it also did have more of a like a loot and progression side to it as well, to get a little bit more of that like extended game time, which I think is very much what they want from the cards. It's just that sort of thing. It's very brave to launch a modern video game like Left 4 Dead 2, where you don't have the stuff. You know, the stuff to get somebody to play, to turn your game from maybe a 15 to 20 hour content experience game to a 500 hour overall progression game. And that's obviously what the companies will want to do. And you could say that's a bad thing, but even to some people, they will perceive it as being better value if there's a journey for them to go on, because it gets all with the goopy gamer brain, as we all know, right? So there you go. Basically, I think Game Pass has really came to aid this game, and it's doing pretty damn well on Steam, just generally. So basically, there you go. Solid, well-targeted game, perfectly placed to make use of Game Pass, especially because it's a lot easier to get your friends to play a game with you when it turns out they already own access to it via subscription they were getting anyway. So that's basically it, and hopefully this serves to just expand and grow the genre more, and that we see more great games. So that's it for us. That's the Back 4 Blood situation. Let us know what you think. We'll see you next time.